Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Well, the Baylor Scott White Irving Foundation has a long-standing partnership with the Four Seasons Resort and Club in the fight against cancer. That partnership has generated some very impressive results over the years. Now, in this edition of Open Line, we're going to take a look at philanthropy in action and how it impacts community health. Joining me are John Drake, President of the Baylor Scott White Irving Foundation, Val Talbert, Director of Public Relations with the Four Seasons Resort and Club, and Helma Maison, Baylor Scott White Irving Foundation Board Member. I want to thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, I want to start with you, John, and we want to get a little bit of background information from each of our guests, but we're going to start with you about the mission of the foundation itself.
We want to be the most trusted place to give and volunteer for those people who believe in nonprofit healthcare, who believe that nonprofit healthcare can make an entire community healthier. And our vision is a healthier Irving, Coppell, and Grand Prairie, our service area. And so it couldn't be any simpler than that.
That's pretty simple.
Exactly.
Yeah, just straightforward and to the
deceptively
point.
simple, because there's a lot of, there's layers and layers of, you've got cancer care, you've got heart care, you've got all the different ways that our foundation is honored to work with donors to make that happen. But I do love the simplicity of the mission and the vision.
I love it. It sounds like it's a really great mission, as you mentioned, and the vision is wonderful too. And I know, Val, you can tell us all about the partnership the Four Seasons has.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of background on why cancer is our passion. For about 40 years now, Four Seasons has been committed to finding a cure for cancer. And that is because our founder, Isidore Sharp, he was really inspired by a man named Terry Fox. And Terry Fox lost his leg to cancer, and he started a walk and run across Canada to raise money and awareness for cancer. And Mr. Sharp had lost his son to cancer, so he was very moved by that, donated his money personally, and therefore, all of the hotels under the Four Seasons brand started raising money for that cause as well. So when our hotel opened, Four Seasons here in Las Colinas in 1986, we were donating to the Terry Fox Foundation. Okay. And in 1992, we decided that it would be really fantastic. We could see our money perform locally, that that we were raising for the cause, because giving back to the community is very important to us. And so in 92 is when we began our partnership with Baylor Scott White Irving Foundation, and specifically for supporting the Cancer Center.
Well, thank you for that information and a little background on how it all began.
Sure.
And now I want to come to you, Helma, and talk to you a bit, because you've been on the board for many years. Can you tell us about that role in terms of actually shaping the growth of the hospital?
I have loved working for the hospital, with the foundation, with the hospital board, and it has been wonderful. It has been rewarding to see how things have changed and to see the equipment that comes in and the better health care that it gives to everyone. We and I have always wanted to be able to have a neighbor or a friend of mine go into Baylor Irving and need a procedure and know that the equipment that's in there is the very best that is available. And that's our goal, is to make sure that we have, pardon me, the very best available in our community, so our neighbors and friends don't have to go far away for good care. So, because when you're in the hospital, I've unfortunately received a lot of the services at the hospital, and appreciate the equipment that's there. And I am a current cancer patient. I have survived cancer, and I am surviving cancer this time. And it's thankful to the hospital. The hospital has diagnosed me extremely early, which makes a tremendous difference. And it's all with the equipment that we have over there. And a lot of the equipment the Four Seasons has purchased. A lot of it we have helped John raise. I was on the foundation before I was ever on the hospital board. So, my heart has been in the let's give, and let's help everyone that we can help.
Well, and we're happy to hear that you were diagnosed early. That's definitely great news. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that this hospital has such great equipment, but it costs money to get. So that's why I want to go back to John and talk a bit about fundraising, because you know all about that.
I got a tear.
I know.
This is my sweet friend, and
I know.
And she does care. Both of these folks, and Yeah.
I know it makes you cry, it makes you tear up, but it's good to know she's getting great treatment. No, look, everybody's fighting back tears.
Exactly.
So I'll talk you through this and walk you through this. She's getting treated, she's getting great care, and y'all have wonderful equipment, as she mentioned, but it takes money to get that equipment. And so that's where we want to talk to you about fundraising and the mission of the hospital, how it all works together.
Well, we are blessed. The foundation, our first love has always been the hospital. Although we do support the Irving Community Clinic, the Baylor Scott White Irving Community Clinic. We have the Canine Companions facility, and with some great partnerships with the Schools Foundation, others to battle obesity. But again, our first love, easily more than 90% of what we raise every year stays at the hospital. And that can be for programs, but a lot of times it is for capital equipment. In the area of cancer, there's kind of a joke we have is that the director of the cancer center can't sneeze for less than $2 million. And it is, but you know that if you're going to have that care that people don't have to go elsewhere for. I mean, I always say to people, if your confidence is in Houston or somewhere else, then you need to go there. But for a lot of people, you want to be right in your hometown where you have your system of support, and to have it right here at our hospital, the only community hospital in town. We love that. But it is, like we're looking at right now, there's a new CT planner, a computed tomography, so a CT scan, but every radiation oncology patient will be evaluated, and it will tell us how big the tumor is, where it is, and then equipment that we bought that worth millions of dollars before will then deliver a radiation beam to that. But we're buying a new one because the CT scanner that we have is 20 years old. Well, the new one is $1 million too, and you know, our goal is to, with the help of the Four Seasons and with Texas Fest this year, you know, Philanthropy will end up raising up more than half of that, probably closer to 700, 800,000 of that. The hospital will pick up the rest. People do think the hospital makes money hand over fist, and it doesn't. I always jokingly say, when you get your hospital bill, it'll say, or your insurance bill, do not pay this bill. It has been submitted to your insurance company. Well, you're not going to pay that, and neither is your insurance company. Only a fraction ever gets paid of that. So Philanthropy really is one of the main sources of funding to buy that capital. Like I said, a lot of people think we make money hand over fist. We really don't. It's very precious. I will tell you, out of every $100 we bill, on average, the hospital has less than $1 left over out of that 100, less than a 1% margin to buy mattresses and x-ray machines and everything else. That's why Philanthropy steps in and can really be the difference. In December of 2019, $500,000 worth of equipment that was fully funded by the people of Irving, and Coppell and Grand Prairie too, but mostly Irving, will be delivered to our hospital, and that is such a privilege. They actually delivered one earlier this week, and on Giving Tuesday we did our very first procedure on a $300,000 surgical a device that shows great blood flow, so you can make sure that you're getting any bad tissue gets gone. And it's good tissue to good tissue when you close that patient. And you know, it's just something. It's an extra tool, but it's a $300,000 extra tool.
We complain about like buying things like blood pressure cups that are like $50, or you know, buying a new thermometer that's $20. And you guys are buying things that are really truly saving lives. Another equipment purchase you made was for 3D mammograms, right?
3D mammography, and you know, it finds breast cancers when they're tiny and most treatable. You know, that is just surgery. That is surgery and radiation and chemo maybe. I mean, finding it early is so key, and 3D mammography is able to do that. $800,000 worth of machines in both our North Campus Women's Imaging Center and our South Campus, the one on the main campus and the one at 635 in MacArthur, fully funded by the people of Irving. It was all gifts.
That's wonderful. Speaking of gifts, Val, I know you guys just don't have a big old pot of gold sitting over at the Four Seasons, but you do a lot of fundraising efforts, including ones with employees, right?
We do, yes. And let me just start by saying that John and his team at the foundation, they're really great about communicating with companies like the Four Seasons and others what their needs are, the doctors and the oncologists, and what they need from us at to support the Cancer Center and the advancements in cancer technology that they need. And they're really great about communicating that to us so that we can plan our fundraising efforts.
And what are some of those fundraising efforts you do each year?
Well, we are very lucky to have a very supportive team of employees at the Four Seasons, around 700 of us, and we also have an amazing private club, the Four Seasons Golf and Sports Club. Our members who live here locally, they're very supportive of our efforts. So we host a variety of public and private events and also employee events throughout the year, and those collectively help us fundraise to support our pledge to the foundation. So I'll give you an example. Our employees host food events throughout the year, bake sales, holiday potluck events, candygrams, anything you can think of. We host it, and we raise money at those events to support our cause. And then some of our public events that we have, a golf tournament in the fall. We host a fashion show in the spring to engage the local lady audience here in Irving. And those are both great fundraisers for us. And then a couple of our private events that we host at our sports club, we have a tennis marathon, a spin-a-thon, and we have a golf marathon. And those are at different times throughout the year. And each of those average between $25,000 and $40,000 each that they raise. So all of those things help support our goal for a specific need for the Cancer Center for a year.
Very impressive. And I know, John, at the hospital, they have a lot of philanthropy going on too.
Yeah.
The employees are getting involved there. Tell us about their efforts.
We have, I had the opportunity to teach at an International Institute on Fundraising, and organizations are really celebrate, and they should celebrate when they get to 20 and 25%. At Irving, our almost 1,000 people, we're at 86% giving.
Wow. That's awesome.
You know, their goal last year, and we never talk about dollars. We only talk about percentage participation. But there is a dollar goal, and last year their dollar goal was 180, and the employees gave 193. So it is. I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of is that my colleagues, they get excited and they care. You know, we have 100% board giving, but to have 86%, that's almost unheard of for that many people. And it speaks volumes about the trust that they have, hopefully in the foundation, and that we're going to be a good steward and use the money exactly as promised. And I think also in our leadership, Cindy Shamp and the team at the hospital, I mean, I watched them. They squeeze every dollar that we raise until the eagle screams. They really are so careful and how they use the funds. And so I hope that is something that donors are confident in. The other great thing is the hospital pays for all of the fundraising costs, the salaries and audit and marketing and everything else. The hospital pays for all that. I still have to keep it low, but they pay for that. So when a donor gives a gift, we never use it for administration. 100% of the gift gets granted to the piece of equipment or whatever we've promised. Whatever the donor selected, 100% of their gift goes. And not every charity can do that, but Baylor Scott White's a great organization, and they make that possible by funding the costs of philanthropy by funding the foundation.
And I know some of that funding has gone to benefit the Charles A. Sammons Cancer Research Center. And I just love the fact that the Cancer Center is doing so many great things for so many people. And I know, Helma, you know firsthand that is true.
It is very true. It's a blessing to be able to come to the local hospital. I've been coming here since 1970. I had my children here, and my whole family has been treated at the hospital. And one of the things John just touched on was the employee giving. The employees at Baylor Irving are very, very special. Their turnover rate is very, very low. You know, when the last time I was in the hospital and the lady came in to dump my trash, pardon me, and she asked if there was anything more she could do for me before she left. And I thought, how wonderful. And then you go, how many years have you been working here? You know, so the hospital is a blessing. The Four Seasons are a blessing. I've been a member of the Four Seasons for years too, and have watched all of this fundraising go on, and the enthusiasm and the love that they have. You can't beat that. And just like Texas Fest, I mean, you know, we all participate in Texas Fest. You know, I've been participating in Texas Fest for a gazillion years behind the scenes. The last couple of years I've not helped a lot, but I'm planning on doing it this year, so it's a blessing.
And Texas Fest is all for cancer this year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It'll help benefit the CT planner.
Perfect. And Helma, I want to come back to you for just a second because I have to ask, if we didn't have the Charles A. Sammons Cancer Center here, what would have been your alternative for treatment?
I really never even considered it. To be really honest with you, I never considered it. And I was diagnosed at 11 o'clock, told 11 o'clock one day, and that afternoon I saw a surgeon. I mean, I can't tell you how quickly it went and how anxious you are when someone tells you. I mean, it really gets to you when somebody tells you you have cancer. And I have gone through lots of tests through the Salmon Center. They have done a genetic test on me, which lets me know and lets all my doctors know what they can look forward to. I'm on a couple of immune drugs right now, which is a blessing. And there's lots of research going on now. But the finding it early and treating it early makes such a difference. I've been blessed with the hospital. I've been blessed with the doctors that I've had. And when you see in my phone my doctor list, it's about that long. Wow. But they've all cared, and that is something you cannot buy. The hospital, when Cindy came, I came on the board the same year Cindy came, and I have watched this phenomenal lady do a wonderful job at Baylor Irving. But she came into a really good organization to start with, and she's just made it better. And making it better, they all care. And you can't ask for anything more than that. If you're a cancer patient, that somebody cares for you.
It's got to feel good, definitely.
John was telling me for years, he said every time he came by a stoplight in front of my building, he'd say a prayer for me. And he's going, I didn't know I was going to be doing this for 4 or 5 years.
Hey, don't make him cry again.
Oh,
Now you've got Dale crying. Look, they're all crying. just blow it off.
It's
got this. But I'm so glad you mentioned genetics and testing, and it makes me think of family. And I want to come to you, John, because do you mind sharing a little bit of your family's experience?
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. We just recently celebrated Thanksgiving, and it really was, because a year ago, my daughter, Grace, who was 23 at the time, was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had surgery to remove that thyroid. And it's a year of monitoring and testing, and she just recently had to repeat. She was treated with a radioactive iodine, and then they repeat that at a year. And it was just the week of Thanksgiving we got the news that scans came back totally clear. Blood work came back, not a trace of thyroid issues.
That's wonderful.
And so, for a lot of people, that's the cure. And the thing is, she never left Irving. It was all right here. We never had to leave. And the Four Seasons and the donors make that possible. We had all the resources right here, so we were most comfortable here. Our surgeons were here. Our hospitals were here. So it was all right here for my family. Never had to go anywhere else.
Wonderful. That's very impressive. It's very unique to Irving, because a lot of people do have to go far from their hometown, so it's good to know it's all right here. And he mentioned, Vale, about you guys having your fundraising efforts and being able to help out, and I know you've recently rebranded a bit. Can you tell us about the Cure for All Seasons?
Absolutely. So because we've been raising money for so long, when we started in 1992, we were fundraising under an umbrella that we called Cool October.
Okay.
And we had all of our fundraising events, the public and the private ones, during the month of October. So it sort of made sense, and that's when we did all of our fundraising. So last year, middle of last year, we made a decision at the hotel to expand our efforts so that we could do things all throughout the year instead of just in that 1 month. And it has proven to be really successful for us. We sent out a survey and we polled our employees on what we wanted to call the future of our fundraising, and we all voted and we came up with the name, and Cure for All Seasons was the winner, and it was fantastic. It just made a lot of sense.
Sure.
And it's a play on our name as well, but it's all about us trying to find a cure. And we have just seen so many groups of our employees blossom to help create new events to raise money. We've found that also with our private club members. They are so passionate to help find other ways to have events to raise money for the cause. So it's just been a great blessing, and we're so humbled.
Wonderful. Well, we have the website on the screen so people can find out more for the Care for All Seasons.
Yes.
Will you tell us what's coming up for 2020? Everyone's got their vision ready. They're like 2020 vision, and I know you've got yours all set too.
Well, I will tell you, we've made plans for the month of April is when we're going to be having our fashion show and luncheon, and also our golf marathon, which takes place the weekend before the Masters golf tournament. So we're excited to have those on the books. Our fashion show is in partnership with North Park Center, and they bring their amazing fashion and lifestyle ambassador, Kim Schlegel-Whitman, and they bring the models and the wonderful retailers, and it's a wonderful experience. And then we're still working on plans for our fall golf tournament, and as well as our sports marathons, the tennis and the spinathon. So those will be later in the fall next year.
It sounds fun. John, I have to ask you, so have you targeted any specific needs that fundraising money will go to?
Well, we are always looking to see what the doctors and the nurses tell us is on the cusp. The things that are going to be state of the art is a term that's overused. But at this point, we are still looking to finish out the fundraising for the CT planner. And then behind that, I think it's not premature to say that the hospital will be making a serious investment behind that in a new linear accelerator. As you know, technology that we have is a little older, and it still is absolutely safe. It's absolutely effective, but the new technology is even better. So I would say behind that, you may be seeing some fundraising for the linear accelerator anywhere they need us. You know, we just in the last week or two opened up a check for $187,000 from an anonymous donor in town who actually funded 2 new ultrasounds so once you have that 3D MAM, if they do find something, so oftentimes the doctor will order an ultrasound, 2 brand new ultrasounds for our Women's Imaging Center, and a device that will do some placement of the pre-surgical planning that lets them actually do it a couple of days in advance, so it's not part of the day when it's already stressful for the patient. If you can get that done early, it makes the day less stressful. And so fully funded. Just one person just said, let us do that for you. That's the joy of my job, and the privilege of my job is in actually writing to those people and saying, hey, we used it for the 100th time or the 1000th time, just to keep that promise. Stewardship is hopefully the hallmark of what we do, and telling people we did exactly what we promised to do with their money.
I love it. Can you take a moment and just mention some of the foundation's beneficiaries?
Absolutely. We, of course, the hospital, our first love. We have Canine Companions for Independence, which trains assistance dogs. We actually do assistance dogs, facility dogs that work in hospitals and centers that work with children and adults. We have companion dogs that provide comfort and assistance to people, maybe on the Down syndrome spectrum or the autism spectrum, and we just have started doing training PTSD dogs for veterans who suffer with post-traumatic stress syndrome. So we're very thankful for that. We also work very closely with the Irving Schools Foundation to battle obesity. And one of my favorite things that we do with them is we support a program where they have about 9,000 kids who are walking the equivalent of a marathon. And really, those kids together are walking more than 180,000 miles collectively, and we love supporting that as well.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of support, you mentioned Giving Tuesday, and now I know there's still many opportunities for people to continue giving, especially towards the end of the years. Can you tell us about some of the opportunities?
You know, what we're focusing on right now are the equipment needs, some programmatic needs. You know, the hospital, one of our key needs is we have some needs in the emergency department. Always looking for support for the cancer center. And so grateful for any gifts that come in to help us with those things. The Irving Community Clinic, we actually have a mailer that has just gone out and letting people know that, you know, for a gift of $10, you can actually cover the copay for someone who doesn't have insurance. And what you're doing is actually providing up to $641 worth of value in because they access mammograms and all of those things. So really excited to be able to provide that for a $10 gift can help provide that for someone who maybe can't even afford that $10 copay. So yeah, lots of opportunities to give.
Wonderful. And Helma, I want to come back to you because right now we may have some viewers watching who are saying, you know, I really want to support a healthy Irving. What can you say to reach out to them and tell them just what a difference their donations, their time, their money will make?
Every dime that the hospital gets as a donation, as John has already told you, makes such a significant donation to the hospital. The hospital has been doing some clinics, some free clinics, so people know where they are. We've worked through the years to have the clinic, the Baylor Clinic, so people who do not afford or cannot afford health care can go there. We have a Parkland clinic that Baylor Irving helped bring into our community, which is a delight because that's a primary care place for a lot of people. My thing is be sure every year to have a health examination. Don't put it off. Don't say, oh, I'm 35 years old or I'm 40 years old and I don't need to do this yet. And as we're finding, cancer has been going down as in the age limits of where it's hitting and where it's hurting people. I was in my 60s before I ever had any cancer, but look at John's daughter who was in her 20s, and I have another friend who was in her 30s. So you need to make sure that you have a primary care physician. You go in and you have a physical every year. You need to have that, and follow their instructions. Don't just go and they tell you to do something and you don't ever do it. I was surprised when someone gave me figures and told me how few people would finish a prescription. And that just amazed me. I mean, maybe I'm weird or something, but I always made sure I took every pill that they gave me, kind of thing.
Right.
So,
you take that antibiotic until it's gone.
Until it's gone.
Not until you're feeling better, until it's completely
you don't just
gone.
stop.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what, you've given some great advice and you've definitely brightened our holiday season just knowing that your early detection is helping with you. We are so grateful to hear that. We're grateful to hear that your daughter is doing better too. And it's so nice to know that so many employees over at the Four Seasons Resort, at the hospital, everywhere are just willing to help out and make a difference. So thank you all so much for being here and continue to do all you do.
Thanks for having us.
You're so welcome. And thank you for watching and helping us to focus on the joy of giving this holiday season. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us on Thursday, January 9th for our next edition of Open Line. We'll see you then.